My daughter barred me from my grandson's graduation, even after I paid $80,000 to fund the program and the gala that celebrated his class. She said I did not fit their image while my son-in-law watched. I went home and made one call, and everything changed. The story you are about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team of the channel Her Pain. It is inspired by real-life situations to convey lessons about family emotions and human values. All characters and events are illustrative in nature. My name is Marjorie Keaton. I am 68. That evening began with a quiet hope I had not felt in years. I stood in my bedroom fastening the lavender dress I had chosen months earlier, smoothing the fabric the way Warren once did, his steady hands now only a memory guiding mine. The pearl bracelet from our 46th anniversary rested coolly on my wrist, a reminder of the version of myself he always saw capable, dignified, never small. Tonight was meant to be simple, a celebration for my grandson, Tyler. I had helped fund the gala, wanting him to feel supported as he stepped into the next chapter of his life. Emily said it needed to be elegant, polished, appropriate for his future, words she used often when she spoke to me. For years, she had corrected my tone, adjusted my clothes, steered me away from anything she feared would embarrass her. I mistook it for concern. Even so, I felt a spark of joy thinking of Tyler seeing me there. I imagined Emily softening, appreciating the effort I had made. I imagined a night that might stitch old wounds closed. I picked up my purse, locked the door behind me, and drove toward the Grand Meridian Hotel. When I stepped from the car and saw Emily watching me from the entrance, her expression tightening rather than welcoming something. In my chest flickered, but I still kept walking toward her. The hotel doors spun in front of me, the glass bright with reflections of people dressed for a night they believed mattered. I handed my printed invitation to the security guard, offering a small smile. He skimmed the page, frowned, and checked his tablet. "Ma'am, your name was removed from the list earlier today. It should be," I said quietly. "I'm here for my grandson, Tyler Keaton." Before he could respond, I heard heels striking the floor. Quick, controlled, irritated. Emily stepped between us, her smile tight enough to crack. "Mom, you shouldn't be here yet," she said softly, like someone managing a disruption. "This is a professional event. Donors, board members. I came to celebrate Tyler," I told her. "I helped." "I know what you did," she cut in. "But tonight is image sensitive. We talked about keeping things consistent." I felt something inside me loosen, then fall. "Emily, I'm wearing the dress you approved." She glanced at it as if noticing it for the first time. "It's not about the dress. It's the whole presentation." "Please don't make this harder." Mark appeared behind her, adjusting his tie without meeting my eyes. "Hey, Marjorie," he said barely above a whisper. Through the glass doors, Tyler stood among classmates and faculty. He looked toward us, and for a moment I thought he'd walk over. Instead, he turned back to the blonde girl, speaking to him. Emily stepped closer. "Mom, don't do this. Not tonight. We can talk tomorrow." I tried to hold her gaze steady. "I just want to see my grandson." "And I want tonight to run smoothly," she replied. "Please go home. I'll call you in the morning." I nodded because I couldn't trust my voice. I walked past the valet, past the laughing groups, past the doors that closed me out of a night I'd paid for. Each step felt like something unraveling, something long ignored, finally snapping free as I reached the curb and kept walking. When I stepped into my house, the quiet felt heavier than anything Emily said to me. I hung my purse on the chair, still hearing her voice, careful, cold, controlled. For a long moment, I just stood there, hands shaking, before I finally moved to the kitchen. I filled the kettle and made tea the way Warren always did it. English breakfast, 2 sugars, no milk. I held the cup with both hands and sat at the small table. The silence pressed against me. I tried to swallow, but the hurt rose too fast. I covered my mouth and let the tears come soft at first, then sharp enough to hollow my chest. When the tears slowed, I wiped my face and looked toward Warren's old study. I hadn't opened its drawers since he passed. Something in me shifted, a small, steady pull that pushed me to stand. The bottom drawer stuck at first, then slid open with a sigh of dust and memory. Inside were folders. Warren labeled himself, his handwriting neat and patient. Property titles, investment statements, letters he wrote to me but never gave me. Every document sat in my name alone, something Emily never knew, because she never once asked how things were structured. "You'll need this one day," he used to say. "Keep it quiet. Keep it yours." I ran my hand over the paper edges. Emily never knew. She never asked. She only assumed everything would fall into her hands someday. The ache in my chest didn't fade, but something else rose beside it. Something steadier, sharper, almost like heat. I closed the drawer gently, knowing I'd open it again in the morning. The next morning, I brought the folders to the table, surprised by how heavy they felt. Warren's handwriting appeared on every page, steady block letters that pulled me back to grocery lists and anniversary cards. The first folder read, Northeast Duplex. The second, Selwood Commercial Lot. The third, Investments, opened in 1986. All titled in my name, every signature mine, though Warren had guided each one. Emily never asked about any of it. She spoke for years about eventual inheritance, assuming everything was joint, assuming it would all pass to her. I let her believe it, mistaking silence for harmony. "I let you feel entitled," I whispered. "Warren once warned me people take as much as you give when you're afraid to say no." I had not understood back then. I understood perfectly now. I sifted through the investment statements, tracing the slow, patient growth Warren built, the way he tried to safeguard a future I had nearly handed away without thinking. Images from the gala flashed through my mind. Emily's tight smile, her firm dismissal, the way she acted like I was an inconvenience she needed to control. My fingers tightened around the papers. I'd spent decades shrinking so she could stand taller. I'd called it love, but something in me finally admitted it was also fear. Near the bottom of the stack lay a card Warren had hidden for me. Long ago, Richard Sullivan, attorney. I held it between my fingers, feeling its quiet weight, then set it beside my cooling tea. The silence around me shifted. It was no longer emptiness. It was the beginning of a decision. Richard arrived just after 9, the same brisk knock he used when he came to meet with Warren years ago. When I opened the door, he studied my face for a moment before stepping inside. "You look tired, Marjorie," he said gently. "I am," I answered. "Sit with me. I need to tell you something." We sat at the dining table, the folders spread between us like a second, heavier conversation. I told him everything, the security guard. Emily's tightening smile, her words about Image, the way Tyler looked away. I tried to keep my voice steady, but it broke once, and Richard didn't interrupt. When I finished, he let out a low sigh. "Warren warned me this might happen one day. He said you'd call when you were ready to stop sacrificing yourself." "I don't want revenge," I whispered. "I want my life back. Then we start here." He opened his notebook. "Tell me exactly how they rely on you." So I did. "Monthly transfers," I said. $2,000. I've been covering half their living expenses for years. He wrote it down. "And tuition. I help with Tyler's college expenses." Emily insisted it was temporary. He nodded. "The house." I hesitated. "I bought it after Warren died and let them move in." Over time, Emily started acting like it was hers. Emily said it would give them a good start. "Do they pay rent?" "No." He closed the notebook slowly. "Marjorie, they've built their entire lifestyle on your silence." I swallowed hard. "I know." "Then tell me what you want to change." My hands were trembling, but my voice finally wasn't. "Stop the transfers. Freeze tuition support. Serve a lease notice for the house market rate. Nothing special." And remove Emily from every account she has access to. Richard didn't flinch. All of that is legal. All of that is yours to decide. It'll break something, I said quietly. It might, he replied. But leaving things as they are will break you. I looked at Warren's handwriting on the folders and felt the truth settle in my chest. Do it, I said. Start today. Emily and Mark left for their prepaid post-gala vacation 2 days later. I saw the photo on Emily's social media, her smile wide, Mark's arm around her waist, the caption calling it a well-earned escape. There was no mention of me, no hint of the night that gutted something inside me. By then, Richard had already sent the notices. The monthly transfers were canceled. The tuition support was frozen. The lease letter for the house was delivered by certified mail. Every decision I'd made sat in motion, silent, but firm. The silence on my end, though, that part hurt. I'd wake in the morning and instinctively reach for my phone, expecting a message from Emily about Tyler's scholarship forms or some minor crisis she wanted me to solve. But there was nothing. No call, no complaint, no thank you. Just absence. On the third day, guilt caught up with me. I sat at the dining table with Warren's letters spread out in front of me. His handwriting steadied me the way his hands once had. Marge's dignity isn't loud. It isn't cruel. It's a boundary drawn with love for yourself. I touched the paper, breathing in slowly. I'm trying, I whispered. That afternoon, I went to Laurelhurst Park. Families walked by, children shouting, dogs tugging at their leashes. Life moved around me without knowing how breakable I felt. I sat on a bench and let the air settle around me, letting myself imagine a version of my life that didn't revolve around smoothing everything for Emily. Warren used to tell me silence can be a language too. I felt that now, how my quiet might echo louder than anything I could say. When I returned home, the house felt different. Not empty, not lonely, just waiting. Somewhere between guilt and relief, something steadier was forming in me, even as the consequences of my choices began to travel toward Emily and Mark without warning. Emily called first, then Mark, then Emily again. By the time their plane landed back in Portland, my phone had logged more than 30 missed calls from 2 days of failed payments and frozen accounts. I didn't answer a single one. It was late afternoon when pounding rattled my front door. I opened it to Emily storming inside, her hair still creased from travel, her expression sharp enough to cut. "What did you do?" she demanded. My card got declined at the airport. The utilities notice was taped to our door, and Mark says the bank won't speak to him because he's not on the account anymore. "Mom, what did you do?" I closed the door calmly. "I made changes. That's all." "You froze everything," she shouted. "You stopped the transfers, the tuition support, the mortgage assistance." "There is no mortgage," I said quietly. "I own the house." Emily blinked, stunned for a moment, before anger flooded back in. "You're ruining our lives. Do you understand that Tyler needs that tuition payment? We need that stability." "You needed honesty more," I said. She stepped closer. "Mom, people already talk. You know how Portland circles are tight, judgmental. I cannot have things falling apart around me. I have worked too hard to build our image." "I am not required to fund your image," I said. Her mouth trembled before the words burst out. "You don't get it. You've never gotten it. I spent my whole childhood being embarrassed because we didn't have what other families had. I swore I'd never feel that way again. And now you're dragging me back there." "I'm not dragging you anywhere," I said gently. "You built a life that depended on me staying quiet." Emily's voice cracked. "Do you know what people will say if they find out that we can't manage our own finances, that we're pretending Mom Mark's colleagues are in that neighborhood? Tyler's professors know us. They'll judge us." "They judge me too," I said. "You just decided their opinion mattered more than mine." She flinched like I'd struck her. "Is this about the gala? About that one night?" That one night I said was the moment I understood how invisible I'd let myself become. Emily pressed her palms to her forehead, pacing. We cannot afford market rate rent. We cannot afford tuition on our own. You blindsided us. I warned you for years without saying the words, I replied. Every time you dismissed me. Every time you told me to keep my voice down. Every time you treated me like an embarrassment you loved only in private. She stared at me, then breathing hard, anger unraveling into something smaller. Fear. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. I needed to be taken seriously. I needed to look like I belonged. You already belonged, I said. You just couldn't see it without pretending to be someone else. Emily's shoulders sagged. So this is it. You're cutting us off. After everything I've done to build a good life for my son. I'm giving you the chance to build it yourself, I said. Without leaning on money you assumed would always be there. She opened her mouth, but no sound came. For the first time in years, she looked young, uncertain, overwhelmed without the armor she wore around everyone else. I don't know how to fix this, she murmured. That part, I said softly, is yours to figure out. Emily swallowed hard, wiping her face. Tyler will come talk to you. He's upset. He wants answers. I nodded. I know. She hesitated, then walked to the door, slowing only once, as if waiting for me to call her back. I didn't. When the door closed behind her, the house filled with a silence that wasn't empty. It was waiting. And somewhere inside that silence, I wondered which version of himself Tyler would bring to my doorstep. Next, the boy I helped raise, or the man his mother wanted him to be. Tyler arrived that evening with none of the confidence he wore at the gala. He knocked once softly, then stood on my porch, shifting from foot to foot. When I opened the door, he exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for hours. Grandma, can I come in? Of course, I said, stepping aside. He sat at the dining table, fingers twisting nervously. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then I saw you, he said quietly. At the hotel, outside the doors, I kept my hands folded. I know. I wanted to come to you, he said. I almost did. But Mom grabbed my arm before I could move. She said stepping away from the faculty and donors would ruin the flow. She said it would cause a scene and that you'd understand. I let the words settle. And you believed her. He winced. I didn't want to embarrass her in front of everyone. She was already stressed about the donors and the faculty being there. She said we all needed to look polished, connected, like we belonged. I belonged, I said softly. I helped pay for that night. Tyler's face flushed. I know, and I'm sorry. Silence pulsed between us before he continued. Grandma Mom has rules for everything, how to dress, how to speak, who to talk to. I try to follow them because it keeps the peace. But yesterday, when I heard what happened, I felt sick. I kept thinking about you standing there alone and I just let it happen. You're young, I said. But youth doesn't excuse cowardice. You saw me. You walked away. His eyes filled with shame. I don't want to be that person. I want to be better than that. You can be, I told him. But it starts with choosing dignity over image, truth over comfort. Even when the people you love are the ones asking you to look away. He nodded slowly, absorbing the words. I want to live my life, not the version Mom wants to display. That's your right, I said, and your responsibility. Tyler looked at me, then really looked like he was seeing me without the lens his mother taught him to use. I want to fix this, he whispered. Then start with yourself, I replied. Emily came back 2 days later without Mark, without the sharpness she usually carried like armor. She stood in my doorway with swollen eyes and a voice that barely held together. Mom, can we talk? I stepped aside. She sat at the table, smoothing her skirt repeatedly, trying to keep her hands from trembling. I know I messed everything up, she began. I know the gala was awful, but it wasn't just cruelty, Mom. It was fear. She took a shaky breath. I spent my whole life feeling less than everyone around me. Growing up without money, without stability, I hated it. When Tyler got into the program, when Mark's work started connecting us to bigger circles, I thought, maybe we finally made it. Maybe we belonged. You already belonged, I said gently. You just couldn't see it. I was terrified someone would look at me and see where I came from. Terrified they'd judge Tyler. Terrified they'd judge me. Her voice cracked. And then you showed up and I panicked. I didn't want them to know we relied on you. I didn't want anyone to see how fragile our success really was. I let her words settle before I spoke. Emily, I hear your pain, but I won't let your fear decide my worth anymore. I won't fund your image or your comfort. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be built on respect and honesty. Nothing else. Her chin dropped, the fight drained from her. I don't know if I can change overnight. I don't need overnight, I said. I just need truth. Emily nodded, slowly stood and walked to the door with a heaviness that wasn't anger anymore. She left quietly. After Richard finalized the last documents, Lark came home with me on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. She was an older shepherd mix with soft eyes and a slow, careful walk easy to overlook. Steady the moment she leaned against my leg. When I signed the papers, the volunteer said, "She just needs someone who won't give up on her." I understand that I told her. The small East Side house I'd renovated myself felt warmer with Lark padding behind me, her nails tapping gently, as if announcing a new beginning. A few days later, Tyler arrived with takeout and knelt beside her. "Grandma, she's perfect for you." "So are you," I said, brushing his hair back the way I once did when he was little. Our conversations felt different now, honest in a way we hadn't managed in years. That night while I brewed tea, my phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "I'm thinking of you. I hope you're okay. Maybe we can talk soon." No apology yet, but the sharpness was gone. Something in her words had softened. I set the phone down and looked at the home I'd chosen, the dog resting at my feet, the quiet that finally belonged to me. Being loved was good. Being respected was better. Being free, finally free, was mine to keep. If this story touched you, like, comment, or subscribe for more.